Portsmouth, Rhode Island. We're on Aquinic Island, which is a relatively small island with 3 towns and a bridge on and off at both ends.
It's just outside of Newport and about half an hour from Providence.
Yeah.
Okay. So would you say that most of your customers kind of come from Newport or from the towns that are actually on the island?
Well, Newport's on the island as well.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Yes. So there's 2 towns on Aquinic Island. So it's Newport, Middletown, and Portsmouth. And there is an island mentality where people don't like to cross a bridge for things. So we look out and we do have a large portion of people coming from the island. But we have them coming from all over.
Numerous people crossing bridges. Yeah, it's astounding for Rhode Island.
Good. Okay. So you guys, I guess this is the first interview that I've done where it's partners. So I'm really curious about how that works. So you guys opened up do you call it a sewing studio? Do you call it a store? What do you call it?
A needle art studio.
A needle art studio. So you're doing sewing and knitting, correct?
And numerous other, I do a bunch of other crafts as well. Karen does all the sewing. And
So what else do you do?
We have apothecary classes where we do all natural cleaners and body products and candles and stuff like that. We've obviously got the knitting. We do numerous other crafts with kids crafts as well, and we bring in outside instructors who are specialists in their field too.
Okay, cool. So you've kind of got a little bit of everything. And it's an actual storefront, right? So it's a store that people can come in and you're open like regular hours and people can buy things. No?
No.
Well, the building is a storefront, but we are only open when we have classes.
Okay.
And we do not have resale.
Okay. And when did you open the business?
February, well, we've been open about 18 months, so February of last year.
Okay. So how's it going?
So far, so good.
Good. Okay, good. Good. Okay. So tell me, have you guys been doing summer camp this summer?
I've done quite a few sewing camps.
Okay.
Mostly kids camps, and then last week I had an adult fashion, or this week I had an adult fashion camp in the evening, which was the first. But yeah, the kids camps have gone pretty well. They've been just tons of fun.
Okay, good. So would you say that you do more adult classes than you do kids classes, or what's the ratio?
Well, I think for knitting, it's more adults.
It's more adults.
Uh-huh.
And for sewing, it's more children's classes.
Okay.
I have 4 sections of the kids machine class going throughout the week, and then a section of teen machine classes, a hand sewing class, and then only 1 adult class per week. But hopefully that expands over time. And I sprinkle other things in as the schedule allows, like maybe a Friday evening class here and there. Yep. But I think, it's mostly adults for limited classes.
So what made you just decide to kind of partner up and do this? Have you guys always known each other, or did you, how did that all start?
How did it start? We met at the yarn crawl. Do you want to explain?
I used to run a yarn crawl in Rhode Island for a number of years, and then at the end of the yarn crawl weekend, there was always a fiber artist marketplace, where people like Karen, who was an Etsy vendor, Etsy seller. It was lots of people like that selling yarn and accessories, and Karen was selling hand sewn bags, and so that's how I met Karen initially.
Well, and the yarn crawl was a pub crawl for knitters.
Okay, I was gonna say, can you explain what a yarn crawl is?
Yarn crawl is exactly what it sounds like it is. Well, I'm not gonna say there's no alcohol involved, but there's not supposed to be any alcohol involved. But all of the stores, when I first started the crawl in Rhode Island, there was 15 yarn stores. So all of the stores would put on specials and have special events and guests, and people would try to visit as many stores as they possibly could. And for every store they went to, they got a raffle ticket. Then they could come to the fiber artist marketplace and put those tickets into a raffle for a vendor's basket. So it was a really fun weekend, but unfortunately, because of online retail, we slowly started losing yarn stores, and it ended up not being a viable thing anymore because we only had 5 stores left.
Oh, wow.
So,
over the course of the year.
over the course of years, I mean,
I was just gonna say, how many years did that take? It's
6.
really like alarming how many yarn stores and sewing stores are just going out of business so fast.
6, and you have to include the fact that some stores close and some stores open. So we literally lost stores that open. We had stores that open and closed within that time frame.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, it was kind of sad. It was sad to shut the call down, but it just wasn't really viable anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how we met.
But that's how we met, and then we started having selfish sewing mornings once a month with friends
at my house. I just invited everyone I knew who sews
Uh-huh.
to come over, and it was selfish sewing, and you had to sew something for yourself, not your children, not gifts, not something you were behind on. You had to make something for yourself, and for the most part, we were maybe making all the same dress at the same time,
right?
And it was a wonderfully supportive support group in a way. Oh, I know a better way of putting that bias tape on, or I think you really need to serge that before you go any further. And so it was just a great social getting together over sewing.
No, it was fun. And then we just started talking about how both of us taught privately, but we would either have to teach in other people's houses or teach in our own houses, which there's a certain comfort level missing in there, especially when you have new clients and you either going to their house or they're coming to yours, and that's a little weird. And so we just started talking,
and at the same time, I had an opportunity through one of the local libraries to teach a class. So librarians all talked to each other, and it went well, and it kind of spread from there. And so I offered some classes at our local library here in Portsmouth, and the tagline was, well, we might get 12 people to sign up for the class, but maybe only 4 will show. And so I did a series of 3 classes, and they had 15 kids in every class. And that was just here in Portsmouth. And so then I pitched the idea of an after-school program at one of the private schools here in Portsmouth. And those classes were filling
straight away
within minutes of the registration opening. So I thought those 2 points of just here in Portsmouth, not even looking at the rest of the islands, people were really interested in sewing. And so it's a lot less scary to take on rents if you're doing it with a partner than all on your own. So that kind of was hatched over a selfish sewing, and probably
I mean, we did say that we wanted to stay in Portsmouth, and we could have gone to any number of local towns. You know, and some towns over, you know, across one of the bridges, they've got like mill style buildings, which is very tempting because cool, kitschy, mill buildings, look great. But we wanted to stay in Portsmouth. And, so to do that, I don't know how anybody would be able to do that without 2 people being involved in the finances, because it's an amazingly expensive town for retail stores, even though there's a number of stores sitting vacant. So we just started exploring possibilities, and it kind of snowballed from there. Really did.
Okay. And do you still do the selfish sewing mornings at the?
No, but we did discuss today how we needed to start doing those. Like we needed to reinstate our crafting in public, you know, nights out, as opposed to them being centered around the stores. We need to reinstate our social events that have nothing to do with the store.
So, okay, a little bit more about your partnership without getting into like too many money details. Are you splitting everything 50-50, or is it like if you teach, then that's sort of your pay, you know, you're getting paid for what you teach? How do you kind of do that? Because I know people will be interested in that.
We actually don't have a partnership. We have 2 separate businesses that run under the umbrella of the Stitchery.
Got it.
Right. So we keep all of our banking, supplies, all of that stuff we keep separate. And obviously, you know, you've got rent and utilities and stuff like that. We come together on that, but we keep everything separate, including all of our tax information, everything.
Right. So she's Grit Stitchery and I am Dancing Threads, and it was easy to keep Dancing Threads because that's what I had run my bag business under. The registrations for sewing classes come directly through me. The registration for knitting classes go directly for her. If we go teach a class, then we figure out how we're going to divide that before we even get started. But it really simplifies things. We didn't need to go into any kind of legal agreement for an official partnership. So we've named the studio Stitchery, but it's basically two businesses sharing the space.
And we do the same. We do our marketing together. Press releases are done together. Promotional, anything is done together, but we still run as two separate businesses. And I just think it's taken so much of the complications out of it. By the time the store opened, we just went, fine, let's just zero everything out, whatever's gone into putting the store together, and we just started again from there. And there was never any question about it, really. We both knew that we'd upcycled some of our existing pieces of furniture. We both had a wonderful day at IKEA spending money, trying not to spend as much money as we could have spent. But yeah, so we just never really, we haven't nickel and dimed each other on stuff, and I don't think we can. I also think that the bonuses was that we weren't close friends. It's not like we were best friends. So there wasn't that like personal, it sounds really odd, but there wasn't that like, all of a sudden you've done me wrong kind of thing. It's like, it was,
it's
kind of
easier to
be
detached and go into business mode. Like, hey, look, rent is due, or this, why is the electricity bill so high this month? And really be able to be frank about issues when it's necessary. Instead of, I'm not worried, I'm going to hurt her feelings.
Yeah.
And then as far as like, the other thing that I would think maybe would come into play, and like you said, you're one of you is teaching, you're getting paid for that. So if someone's like, I'm just super busy in my personal life this month, I'm not going to teach as much, nobody's resenting the other one for not feeling like they're doing as much work or something like that. So wait, so what is your full-time job? Is it?
I work at Rhode Island School of Design.
Okay.
I'm not an instructor. But so that's my full-time job, and that's where my health benefits come from, and so that job's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you're working like a full day of work, and then you're usually teaching on the weekends and on the evening. I come down
and teach at the evenings, teaching at the weekends. We're funny enough, scheduling wise, classes at the weekends, except for Saturday mornings, they don't sell unless it's a special guest instructor. Not around here. People will do stuff on Saturday mornings, and then after that, afternoon classes don't work out. So that's fine. Saturday mornings is fine, and I will teach. The scheduling for both sides of the fence is completely different. The programming for both sides, sewing and knitting, are completely different because people want different things. I have a lot more private lessons for knitting, and smaller groups. And they really are very different formats, I think.
Well, just that since I am doing this full time, I can offer a 1 o'clock class to a homeschool group.
Right.
But I do think that one thing we found really valuable in our hour structure is being open in the evenings.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the places where you can find knit and sew, I mean, you can go to your library and go to an 11 a.m. Tuesday morning class and learn how to knit, but if you're working full time, that just isn't going to work. So being open in the evenings, even some of the supply stores or quilt shops, they're only open 9 to 5.
Right. I think we had to rein ourselves in because we were just trying to cram as many classes and lessons in as we possibly could.
Yeah.
And that was becoming quite stressful because literally we were scheduling ourselves like every night of the week.
Yeah.
So I think we've learned to do more back-to-back classes, more back-to-back lessons, and try and get them in on 1 evening, 2 evenings, 3 evenings, as opposed to I'm just here randomly every night of the week. Because that makes you not very popular at home.
Well, I think that's part of like when you're starting, right? It's like you're just throwing everything at the wall and then like seeing, all right, what is our niche going to be and when is it going to work?
It takes time to figure that out.
And we're still figuring it out. I mean, there's still things that we think are going to be awesome, and everybody's like, I'm not taking that class.
You think it's going to be like a home run and then it's crickets. And then you're like, let me just try this. And then that's the thing that everybody loves. Who knows? do you have, so you don't have any retail in the store? If everything's sort of movable, it sounds like you're not really selling fabric or notion.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and that was based on the yarn crawl experience. Like,
No.
that's not a thing we want to touch.
Right.
Yeah, no.
Very smart. And then as far as like your classes, do you normally, do you let them bring in their fabric? Do you supply maybe small yardage to sell to them for the class, or is it included in the price? How do you do that?
All of the above. I try to make every class structured so that everything is included,
Uh-huh.
but they have the option that if they don't like whatever fabric I'm choosing, they're always welcome to bring their own. The one place that I don't like to provide fabric is if they're making clothing. I mean, it's large yardages for the most part, but also if you're going to wear it, you really want to be choosing
what you want.
Fabric yourself.
My beginners classes, I supply yarn and needles because I don't want them to just go and buy a ball of $2 yarn from various box stores and dreadful needles. They won't enjoy their first experience of knitting. So I supply them with needles and yarn initially, and then during the beginners classes we talk about yarn, we talk about needles, we talk about, you don't have to spend a lot of money, but this is a better quality product than this, so that's to get them started. I insist that they use what I give them.
How do you guys stay inspired for what you're doing? Do you have, certain blogs that you read? Do you listen to podcasts? What inspires you to keep kind of creating and making up new classes? And
for knitting, I keep a fairly close check on a social media site called Ravelry, which any knitter knows about. That's a really good source of inspiration. So I'm always keeping an eye on the patterns that are coming out and the way things are going, and that way I don't have a lot of time to be listening to listening to podcasts or reading blogs, but Karen is an avid listener of podcasts and passes on lots of useful information to me. I get the Cliff Notes versions, which is handy. So I do a lot more like sort of reading and scanning through magazines and checking pattern sites and such.
There's so many modern embroidery artists out there doing really great work, and that's how I feel inspired to teach the classes. I give the basics and then let you make it your own. And I do a lot of embroidery classes actually. But so there are a lot of artists on Instagram.
Yeah, we both follow a lot of Instagram people.
I listen to a lot of Synapse podcasts, which has been very helpful from a business standpoint, having no marketing business experience and backgrounds. I try to read up as much as available in the Craft Industry Alliance, because again, that has really helped with the underlying fundamentals of how do you write a press release and marketing tools and email newsletters and all that stuff that we really taught ourselves. And then the beautiful periodicals like by hand and making, they're just so trying to keep up a little bit on trends, but I think most of our classes come from students' ideas.
As we've got to know more of our groups, we realize what they're capable of, what we think they should be learning next to get them to where they need to be. So really taking notice of where the students are at is key. You just can't force things on them. You really need to know where their skill set is.
So this has been good. Do you guys have any kind of last minute things you want to tell us about, or that I didn't?
I don't know. I mean, we keep because Karen reads a lot of blogs and stuff, and we talk about other businesses that start up, and we watch them start up, and we see people just and obviously it's none of our business what their finances are, but we see people throwing so much money into their startup businesses, and I just feel like when you're sort of your normal average, I don't have a huge, financial well to draw from, that we did it on basically nothing. We really did. We had a very, very small budget, which, like I say, went very quickly at IKEA. And
but we repurposed and recycled almost
So
everything
much.
that's in the studio.
so much,
We have a tea cart that used to be a baby changing table, and
which sounds kind of gross, but it's cute.
it's adorable.
Um,
And we purposely went into it not taking on debt,
right.
and are very proud of the fact
Yeah.
that we didn't
And
take
it's
on debt to
doable.
open up the shop.
It's completely doable to find furniture on a lot of free cycle sites and just spend the time. You know, it's extra time. You've got to paint them, you've got to clean them up, but it gives the studio a lot more warmth as well.
Which is the universal comment when anyone new comes
Yeah.
into the space. This is so warm and inviting and really great.
Right.
So
So
it
it's
makes it work
doable.
for
If
them.
anybody thinks that they want to do it and they can't do it because they can't invest in fixtures and fittings, and you can do it. You really can.
Yeah, and I think, just along those lines, someone who's going to do that is going to, I think, innately be a more successful business person, because it is, a lot of this, it is penny pinching and figuring out
It really
how
is.
to make your business profitable. And yeah, taking out like huge ads in the newspaper, or actually someone just contacted me about, being in their Instagram stories. I'm like, so that's where paid advertising is going, which I think is like, wow, like mind blowing. But yeah, like who has the money to do that? I've never done it and will never do it. And I think that, if you have a good business and you maybe you invite some people in for free in the beginning, and just so they get the experience, once they do, like you said, it's all word of mouth,
And it is word of mouth. You are your own advertisement. So if people are coming into your store and you're not welcoming and you're not happy to help, and which we are genuinely anyway, it's not like we're putting that on. We know of businesses where we've gone in and we kind of felt like we're in their way, and it's like we never wanted that to happen in our store, no matter who you were.
You come to Stitchery, we're gonna offer you a cup of tea.
Or teas, there, ready to roll every time.
Yeah.
But even the kids, when the kids hooked onto that, they would come in and be like, "Can I have a cup of tea?"
Yes, yes.
So,
8 kids with teacups. But we've also gotten as involved in the community as we can. So anytime someone's looking to do a fundraiser, we donate a gift card to the shop. Or we've had some joint events where we've written a press release, and with one of the local animal shelters, we had a stuffed animal repair clinic day.
right.
So you came with a stuffed animal that needed some stitching and paid us made a donation of $5. We fixed it, and then we donated all the money to the animal shelter. So the animal shelter was marketing the event, and we were marketing the event. And we did the same thing with the Aquidneck Land Trust, which is a land preservation society. And we had a turn your t-shirt into a reusable bag day. So they brought a t-shirt, we helped them stitch it up, donated money to the land trust. And so they were marketing the event, and we were marketing it as well. I read through the template for the press release because I had no idea what it was, and I didn't know what I was supposed to do. Oh, and then the Handmade Marketplace book by Carrie Chapin. Is that what it is, Carrie Chapin? So there's a whole section in that book about how to write a press kit. And even though it's several years old, it's totally relevant. So when we opened, I put together a press kit. It had press releases, it had scheduled classes, it had, in the folder, I took our business cards and stitched it onto the cardboard folder, and I mailed it to every news outlet that I could think of in Rhode Island. So
much coverage.
we got several write-ups in local papers. We were contacted by Rhode Island Monthly Magazine a few months later, and they said, "Oh, well, we're writing an article. We kind of like to take some pictures." And so they came to one of the camps and took pictures. Lo and behold, they gave us a Best of Rhode Island award. So and I know that's because of reaching out. But it was Craft Industry Alliance whose template I used. So a couple of weeks later, I sent them a thank you email, like, "Thank you, this is such a great resource. It led to blah blah blah." And then so you kind of never know where things are going to lead.
Between that, I mean, we initially said that it's going to be press releases. We've got to get a website up. So that because people don't operate without having to go and look at your website first, they won't come.
And Tracy manages the entire website,
which was a learning curve.
All right, so you've been open 18 months. Can I ask you, are you profitable?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow! Yay! That's amazing. Good. I love it.
I know it's usually a 3-year rule, isn't it?
I don't know what the rule is, but were you profitable in the first year?
Yes.
Wow, you are doing it right. Good for you. And I think it's so doable, you know. It's like and I think that's what trips people up. They're just like, you know, they can't even imagine, and they think there's going to be such a, you know, a big spend in the beginning, and
Right.
there doesn't need
to be.
I'm just super impressed that you have this partnership and that you guys are communicating openly. And I mean, that's what it's about. And I'm jealous that, yeah, somebody's doing the website, somebody's doing the PR. Are you both doing your social media, or is one of you sort of handling that? That's
We
lovely.
just have to check in to make sure we don't like post at exactly the same time.
Yeah.
That's happened a few times. We've been like, well, just check and say, hey, I want to just put something over Facebook. Okay, go for it. Like,
Yeah.
just to check, or like, can I put something up tomorrow and then you put something up on Wednesday? I mean, the behind the scenes, this is just behind the scenes. Nobody actually knows that it's, you know, I'm putting something up in Karen. It's just going onto the Stitchery Facebook page, the Stitchery Instagram.
Exactly.
We just want to make sure that we're not like bombarding people with 10 posts the same day because we didn't realize that somebody else was posting. And
Sure.
but
Okay,
you know,
wait a second. Who's answering emails?
We both
but
are.
we answer the emails that pertain to our particular.
You both kind of look at them, and then
We both have access to the email. We both scan the emails. And
you can tell right away if it's a sewing or a knitting question.
yeah, and if we don't notice, or one of us is out and it's something that seems urgent, the other one will text. We'll text each other to just say, hey, by the way. Another great way to bring new people into the studio that haven't been before is when we bring in guest instructors who teach other skills. I mean, we've had like shibori dyeing and basket weaving, and we've had knitting instructors coming in. And we've got Stephanie Pearl-McPhee coming in a few weeks.
The yarn harlot.
Yeah, I saw that on your website.
Yeah. She's undoubtedly probably the most famous knitter.
Really?
I'm going to say in the world. Whatever. I'm just going to go with it.
Really? Wow.
She really is. Her blog has been running nearly 14 years, and her following is gigantic.
She has several books published.
And
can you make money hiring someone like that to teach a class, though?
Well, they charge, most guest instructors have a flat fee, either per student or per day. So she's just scheduled to the max to make her money back, because when people come, you have to pay their travel, accommodations, food. So you have to factor that in. It's quite a commitment. But when you're bringing in somebody that's incredibly well known like that, it sells.
We had Tim Natar in March as well.
Yeah.
So she did a map quilting class with us. And these are all, 1 day long workshops.
Yeah.
It's a great, we really, really wanted to do that from day one because it's a great way that you don't have to go to San Francisco or Montreal, or, we can bring those kind of things right
Selfishly,
here.
we can take the class ourselves.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Total bonus. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
So, no, and it's brought in a lot of people that wouldn't normally come down to the store.
Definitely.
Really?
And there's been a number of people that have continued to take classes with us. And it's so great to have these people into the studio.